Hey guys, so some of you might have noticed that from time to time I like to talk about, finance related topics, property topics, etc. on this particular channel. Now, the purpose of today's video is really to talk about some of the most common financial mistakes that I see a lot of newcomers living in the UK do quite often. Now, being an accountant, I have seen a lot of these mistakes made. The first one of these mistakes is not understanding the tax laws of the UK. Now, take it from me, as an accountant, I have seen a lot of people actually get into trouble with the HMRC, which is the tax authority of the UK. Now, this particular financial mistake will not affect you so much if you are, in full-time employment, because a lot of the time, the company that you're working for will actually handle all your tax affairs, okay? And you will just get your payslip at the end of the month. But when you find yourself working as someone who's self-employed, or perhaps someone who is looking to work as a contractor, then your tax affairs will obviously have to be handled slightly differently. And in most cases, the HMRC would actually expect that you have, worked with an accountant or worked with a different types of tax professional that can actually help you manage this efficiently. Because failing to do this can actually end up getting you a financial penalty, which, trust me, you really don't want. Now, the next common financial mistake that I tend to see a lot of people actually make is basically when they use their credit card for everyday expenses. You need to stop doing this, okay? Your credit card is supposed to be used basically as a powerful tool to actually help you build up your credit rating, because essentially your credit rating will be extremely important when it comes to the time for you to actually buy a property. The other common mistake I tend to see a lot of people make is failing to open a tax-free savings account. So this can be an ISA, for example. Now, no matter how little it is you're able to save, it is still better than not saving, because essentially the saving that you're putting in these type of accounts are basically tax-free, okay? You're not going to get taxed on making this particular savings in this account. So it's always best that you try each and every single year to actually save within your relevant tax-free account. Usually most people will tend to use ISAs, okay? So save and max out the limit on your ISAs first, and then once you've actually maxed out the limit on your ISA, you can then look to save the rest of any particular amounts that you want to save into other areas such as stocks and shares, for instance, or maybe even property, or any other kind of areas that you think you might want to explore. The next common mistake, which is a big mistake, which a lot of people also make, is actually buying a new car rather than getting a used car, okay? This is a big mistake which will only have the effect of eating away at your savings. More so, actually owning a car here in the UK comes with a lot of additional costs. So if you imagine you spend, £16,000 or £20,000 just buying a brand new car outright, you haven't even considered, the car insurance you're going to have to pay on that car, which could be well in the thousands per year, or even the MOT, the car tax and other areas like that. So actually, when you think about it, it makes more financial sense for you to actually buy a used car when you first arrive. Eventually, you might decide to actually upgrade to a newer car after years of experience, but that really depends. When it comes down to it, it really makes more financial sense to actually go for a used car rather than buying a brand new car. So you can check out a lot of car dealers and see what sort of offers and what sort of deals that they have available. Next thing you definitely don't want to do is to buy a lot of furniture. Now, when you first come into the UK, chances are you're most likely going to be renting initially, okay? Now, until you've actually decided on a permanent place that you want to live and settle, it's actually important for you not to actually go spending a lot of money accumulating furniture, because furniture costs can add up really quickly, okay? And what you don't want to do is be in a situation where you've accumulated a lot of furniture and you're still in the process of moving from place to place, city to city, because you then end up paying a lot for transportation costs to move this furniture from one house to the next. So you really do want to pay attention to not spend too much money on furniture when you first arrive. Now, whilst we're on the topic of furniture, there are actually quite a few websites that you can get free furniture, okay, from people who are actually looking to donate their used furniture to members of the public. I'll be sure to leave a list of some of these sites down in the description box below, so do make sure you check out for them. Next mistake I see a lot of people make is overspending on their credit card without actually paying it back in full. This is a mistake you don't want to make. Okay, at the end of the day, like I mentioned earlier on, your credit card is a really powerful tool. What you don't want to do is to spend money that you don't have somewhere else in savings on your credit card and then get into a situation where the interest rates become really high and then you can't even pay back that money on the credit card. By avoiding this mistake, you can avoid actually getting yourself into a situation where you're in financial debt and you're not actually able to recoup from that, because this will completely ruin your credit history, okay, and leave you in a lot of debt. So because when you're actually ready to pay back that debt, the interest rates will actually then be much higher. So what I'd advise is to make sure that any money that you're going to spend, you basically should already have it, or should be expecting at least to get it back pretty soon in a savings account that you will then use to pay off the credit card amount that you've spent, okay, so that you are not just accumulating endless amounts of credit on your credit card, because eventually this will actually damage your credit rating, which you really don't want, because it can then impact a lot of things you want to do in the future. Avoiding some of the common financial mistakes mentioned here in this video will go a long way to help you save some money. But I think what's also very important is to actually understand the cost of living and what sort of factors actually influence that whilst you're living in the UK. Be sure to watch this video here where I've gone into detail explaining everything you need to know regarding the cost of living here in the UK. If you've enjoyed this video, please don't forget to give me a big like, make sure you subscribe and tap the notification bell. I'll see you in my next video.